Thank you. So at the same time, there is a consultation going on financial thresholds. And by those, we're talking about things like the audit threshold, when you have to prepare group accounts, when you have to have an independent exam. So they're looking, a number of these are quite old. Some of them are up to 10 years old, and most of them are income-based. And with inflation, obviously charities' incomes have risen, and therefore more charities are being caught by these requirements. So that's why they're doing the consultation, to make sure they're continuing to be proportionate. They're looking at 21, which sounds like a lot, but probably 7 or 8 are really quite obscure. Some of them I've not even heard of, or ever come across. But there may be 10 or 11 that are quite common. So in the consultation, they're looking at 3 options, or they're giving 3 options for most of the thresholds. One is to keep them exactly the same so they don't change. The other one is to increase them by inflation since they were last set. And the third one is to do a partial increase. And the partial increase option, or series of halfway between these other two, is in there because whilst charity income has increased, it's not kept pace with inflation, you're aware, especially smaller charities, just to make sure that they continues to be proportionate. None of the proposals are bigger than inflation, so the consultation is on the basis that none of these were too low to start with. As Giles mentioned at the start, consultation closes tomorrow. They will respond in 3 months, or government will respond in 3 months' time, and as part of that, they'll tell us how they're going to implement it. So at the moment, we don't know the timetable for when these things will come in. So on here, I've just picked out, obviously this is not all of them, but I've just picked out some that I thought would be most relevant. So the first, and you can see the 3 options. So option A on those is where we are at the moment. B is the biggest, the inflationary increase, and C is the partial one. So in terms of independent exams, as a form of external scrutiny, if you're below the audit threshold, but you're above a certain threshold, currently that's £25,000 income. That could go up to 40 or 30. The most relevant one is going to be that audit one. So at the moment it's £1 million. The other 2 options are up to £1.5 million or 1.2. Whilst there might not necessarily be that many charities affected by the change, if you are, it could have quite a big impact in terms of cost and the level of work involved in your year-end accounts. So that could have a reasonable impact. Personally, I would probably like to see that go higher than that. I think some of the difficulty with auditing a smaller charity or book that's still fairly reasonable size is that there is disproportionate cost and the level of disruption that actually you could probably get just as good as scrutiny and accountability by enhancing the independent exam rules rather than pushing them down the audit route, those types of charities. But they won't do that because that's not part of the consultation, and independent examining rules are set by Charity Commission, visit Parliament, consulting on these. Group accounts, so when you have to prepare group accounts, so you can see that they align with the audit threshold, so I'd imagine they would go up together, whatever they decide to do. Receipts and payments, I mentioned that earlier. So receipts and payments are a set of simple accounts that a non-company charity can prepare if your income is below a certain threshold, currently 250, potentially up to 400, 300. The last 3 on there have got R next to them, and that means recommended. So for those options, that's what government are recommending they do. And as you will see, but the other ones don't have an R because they're not recommending anything in those areas. As you can see, they're actually suggesting no increase, keep these the same. The first 2 in terms of the annual return and filing your accounts, this is all about transparency. All charities have got to prepare a set of accounts anyway. It's not particularly onerous to file with the Charity Commission or to do your annual return. So I would support not increasing that. And I might even go further and say actually all charities should do that because the information is available. And the final one on there is just the threshold at which you need to register as a charity commission in the first place. If your income's above 5,000, and again, they're suggesting keeping that the same. So in 3 months' time, we'll find out what they think. They don't obviously have to go to A, B, or C in all of them. There can be a mix and match. I would imagine that most people would recommend option B. As I mentioned, a number of these have actually been in existence for 10 years or so. So we're not just setting thresholds for today. We'll potentially set them for the next 10 years as well. So I think there's going to be an element of future preaching in there as well. But we'll see what they come. And I said, the audit one is probably going to be most relevant or could have the biggest impact if you are a charity which would fall out of that. That's a big requirement. And that was it on the thresholds. We've got a question. So, send any questions on what we've spoken about so far. I think Charles has got some kind of app to sort of questions as well.
It's because change the audit thresholds, but I think it covers that.
Yeah. I mean, what I didn't put on there is that there is another audit threshold, which is based on if your income is above 250,000 and your assets are above another threshold. It's also proposing that one would increase as well. So yeah.
To link the stock thresholds to the threshold we just looked at.
No, I mean, in the consultation document, they do say that one of the things they're going to try to do is, well, if possible, align different thresholds. But given none of the thresholds in the proposal with the sort, they're not doing it anyway.
But that was the opinion.
I was just gonna, the sub for Charles Hart, this one would be any other. They increased the tax, tax. Zone revenue, you then get passed up, the last thing. Well, paying less the rate. So, it was that had to do
Yes, the correct. I mean, that's HMRC.
Yeah.
That's sort of, I haven't done anything opposed to that. There is House England will start to review on community benefits, exactly law, which you deserve all that threshold. And I hope that some of that will be sent by some of that, because I in a mess of the moment.
what is simple to be not can't leave its terms is and then knows that they got it there so in the crime and we don't need it like thanks
Like that's, that's general and policy. It's
what I learned real tax transported Joe
because of the only like about what I now.
I mean, it's not part of this consultation. So in terms of audit thresholds, if any of you are registered in Scotland, you might be aware that the audit threshold in Scotland is currently 500,000. That's going to go up to 1 million. So it's going to align with us, or align with England, albeit it's then going to be out of sync again pretty soon, I'd imagine.